Okay, we're going to the top of the tower. Come on with us. The Joplin Regional Airport West Tower was constructed in 1973 and was replaced with a new tower to the east in 1985. There are 53 steps to the top of the tower.
How tall is the tower?
The tower? Oh, it's pretty tall. It's about 40 feet from the ground to where you're standing now. Are you out of breath?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me too.
Why do we have a control tower?
Well, let me tell you about that. The whole reason for our control tower is for safety. And it's for safety of the pilots when they're in the air and when they're on the ground. And the key word here is the word control. The people in the tower control the airplanes when they're on the ground. That's called a ground controller. And they control the airplanes when they're in the air, and that's called an air controller.
How does the controller talk to the pilots?
Well, the controller talks to the pilots by using a radio. And he talks, it has a headset, and he talks to the tower on a certain frequency. And they look around and they tell them whether there's other airplanes in the sky. The ground controller talks to them about airplanes that might be on the ground. It's all to keep everybody safe and from running into each other. And they also tell them about what runway they need to use and things like that, the weather and so forth. So they help the pilot know exactly what's going on.
What are the roads?
The roads? Let me tell you about those. Let's walk over and take a look. First, I would like to show you a couple of things of interest. In this photo, you can see the airport airline terminal. This is where you would board an airliner. In this photo, you can see the active control tower. This tower is a little bit taller and more modern than the West Tower. Let's take a look at an aerial view of the airport. This photo was taken from an airplane. The two long and wide roads you see are the runways. Airplanes must be going fast to take off, so the long wide roads give them a nice long distance to get their takeoff speed. When the airplanes land, they are also going fast, so the long runway gives them plenty of room to slow down. Each of the runways are 6,500 feet long. If you were able to ride your bike as fast as you could on the runway, it would take you about 10 minutes to get to the other end. Now look at the narrow roads next to the runway, and you will see the taxiways. The word taxi means to drive. So the taxiways are where the pilots drive their airplanes to get to the right runway. The short roads you see are called intersections and connect the taxiways to the runways. This may look like a little confusing to you. So how do pilots find their way around the airport? Well, they use traffic signs to tell them where they are, just like drivers do in their cars. Let's look at some of the signs that pilots use on the airport. This chart shows signs that tell the names of the runways, taxiways, and intersections. They are color-coded in red, yellow, and black. These signs look the same at all airports around the world. Now let's see if you can find some of the colored signs on our airport. Look for signs with red, black, or yellow. They are very close to the ground. These signs tell the pilots where they are on the airport and where to turn to get to the right runway and taxiway. They are close to the ground because if the signs were tall, like the signs on your city street, the airplanes with low wings might run into the signs. You can also see some yellow lines painted on the runway and taxiways. These lines also serve to help the pilots find their way around the airport. It is all about safety. When looking at the picture of the runways, did you wonder why they have more than one runway? Well, that is because an airplane always tries to take off and land into the wind. The wind can blow from all different directions, so if we have more than one runway and they are pointed in different directions, then we can most always take off and land into the wind. The next slide will tell why this is important. If you look at the airplane in this picture, you can see that the top of its wing is curved and the bottom of the wing is flat. This shape makes the wing lift when air flows over it. The air flowing over the curved top of the wing travels faster than the air flowing under the flat bottom. So the top of the wing pulls the airplane up and the bottom of the wing pushes the airplane up. The more air we have flowing over the wing, the more lift the wing produces. Let's see why that is important when an airplane takes off and lands. This is a drawing of airplanes taking off. One taking off into the wind, one with no wind, and one with the wind to its back. You can see that if the airplane takes off into the wind, the wing has more air blowing over it, allowing the wing to make more lift. This added lift allows the airplane to take off shorter and land shorter, making for safer flights. How do pilots know which way the wind is blowing so they can take off and land in the right direction? At the Joplin Regional Airport, the control tower operator would tell the pilot which way the wind is blowing and which runway would be best for taking off into the wind. But if the control tower was not available for some reason, the pilot could tell by various other ways. One way would be the movement of the clouds. Another would be to look at a flag or look at one of the airport's windsocks. See if you can find the windsock in this last picture. This concludes our control tower presentation. Thank you for watching.